I want to make known that you're here for a greater purpose. And your purpose for you being here is for you to get to know God, to get closer to Him, and to live your life doing His will, you know. And His will for your life isn't anything that's meant to hurt or harm you, but it's to love other people, to be a help to your neighbor, the people that you encounter every single day, you know, whether they're on the streets or in a grocery store or in a hospital, wherever you are meant to be there to help. And even on your job, like when God has you somewhere, and wherever you are, God is there with you. And so it is everywhere you go is an opportunity where you can be, um, where you can minister to someone, and encourage someone and build them up. Everyone that you see might be going through some things. They might be going through depression themselves. um, they might be unhappy with their life, and it's our job, that because we love other people, that we supposed to show God's love to them, because God showed His love to us when we were there in their position, not understanding um, what it is that God wanted for our lives. And so now that we know our purpose, now we want to show that the world, the people who don't really know Him, that God has a greater purpose for your life. And so, um, like I said, I just wanted to share the process with you, because this is a beginning of the process for me, because for a very long time, I had been very disconnected from God. And what I mean by that is, when I was a teenager, I grew up in a Christian home. My dad's a pastor. But when I grew up, um, I felt very close to God when I was a teenager, because, um, you know, I was just starting to beginning to know Him, and I was very excited. And but also I still went through things, and one of the main things that I went through, as a teenager, was lust. Trying to understand the things that I was seeing, trying to understand the things that I was feeling on the inside, and not having the answers for them. Um, it caused a lot of depression, and it caused me to be very unhappy with my life, because the lust was taking away a lot of things in my life that, um, and it seemed like every like every time I would try to get closer with God, it seemed like that lust was there to try to hinder me in my purpose, and hinder me in my relationship with God, like getting close with Him. Um, every time I feel like, man, like I feel so close to God. Um, that lust was there to steal my joy, and to steal my peace, to steal everything that I felt in that moment, and to make me feel empty again, to feel like, man, like God, like you're so far away from me. I don't know how I can, reconnect myself with you, because I feel so bad for the things that I've done. And that's what that lust came to do, was to steal everything that, all the progress and everything that I made. And in reality, those things can, the lust can steal the progress, but it definitely did steal something from me, because um, every day I felt guilt, and I felt, a level of fear. I felt a level of disgust in myself, because the fact that I said I love God, and yet, um, I was doing things that God hated. And so I never felt right. And And here I am now, I'm 31 years old. Um, it seems like the same thing. Um, but I had to, last night I was just up and God had me up all the night, almost all the night. And it's just, just thinking and writing and just writing about what it is that is keeping me from having a close relationship with God. And one of the main things that I feel like is keeping me from having a close relationship with God is my feelings. And that's the most important thing, because a lot of bad things stem out of your feelings. I still carried a lot of bad feelings from my childhood when it came to things I experienced as a teenager, things in my relationship with my parents, just a lot of bad things that I brought with me from there, and I never got over them. Even though I said I forgive those people that hurt me, I never got over it. It stayed as a process in my life, and it kept me feeling defeated or depressed, to where I felt like I needed some type of outlet to make me feel okay. And for that outlet, that could be anything for anybody else. But for me, it was just, you know, just lusting, watching things that I ain't supposed to be watching. And I just carried those things with me all the way until I was 31. And here now, I'm, making it known to myself that I'm not going to listen to my feelings, because my feelings aren't right. My feelings are wrong. And if I allow my feelings to control my life, I'll never progress. A lot of times your feelings are there to cause you to go in the wrong way. And you can't obey your feelings. Your feelings ain't right. You got to obey the truth. Like when you read God's word, and that's why it's so important for you to read the Bible. Not just read the Bible, because a lot of people read the Bible, but they don't believe the truth. And the most important thing is to read the Bible and to believe His truth. Because when you believe His truth, you're putting in action what you believe. And so it's just like the saying, like, faith without works is dead. Like, or for example, like if you have all these plans and dreams for your life, and you're saying, I want to do this and that and this and that, and if you don't put those things into action, they will never happen, because you have not put any effort into that. And same thing when it comes to your relationship with God, and like when you read the Bible and you see the truth, it's your job to believe the truth and to put the truth into action into your life. And I think that I always spoke the truth and said, God, your word says this, God, your word says that, but did I ever truly believe it? A lot of times my sin would come into my life after I had done it to make me feel guilt, and I would separate myself from God, feeling like I'm not good enough. And why did He save me? Why did He do the things He did for me? It was for nothing. Just telling myself lies just for me to, and it's exactly what the devil wanted for me to do, so that he could get me disconnected from God and not come to God and bring all my problems to Him. But the Bible says to come boldly to the throne of grace. So that means that God has made it an open door for you to come there and for you to talk to Him and tell Him that, Lord, I am sorry, and I feel and my and that, I'm feeling unhappy for the things that I've done. I need you to forgive me. I need to be released from this guilt. I need to be able to move on so that I can do the right thing, so I can do what is right. And so when you come to Him and you are sincere about that change in your life, and you continue this relationship that you have with Him, and you bring all your problems to Him, God, He will forgive you, and you will be able to continue your relationship with Him, continue to walk with Him, and nothing will stand in your way. Also, when you leave your prayer, you have to also know that when you leave your prayer that you are forgiven, and that God does not carry that to the next conversation that you have, but every conversation that you have with God is new. And one thing also that I learned just last night, and just to stop doing, is that I based my relationship with God on my problems. And it wasn't right, because I used God as a way for me to get relief from my problems, but not as a relation. It wasn't relational. Um, it wasn't where I felt like I actually needed God. I just needed Him in situations. And that was my problem. And that's the reason why I did not really know God. It seemed like I didn't really know God, because and I found myself, after getting my needs met, that I felt I was back to doing the things that I was doing before, and I never had a real relationship with God, because my relationship was based off of what I could get from Him if I would just pray and do all those many things, and then God do something for me, and then after that I'll be good. And it was not right, and I had to talk to God and tell Him, Lord, I'm sorry that I used you as a way to get my problems fixed. And then after getting my problems fixed, then I just go back to doing the same things I've been doing. It's not right, because after I get my problems fixed, then I'll come back with another problem. Because if you don't remain in God, if you don't remain walking with God, you're always gonna have problems. It's never gonna be just good. And it's never gonna be just good, even when you are walking with God. But at least when you know that when you're walking with God, you can trust in His promises, that He's gonna do everything that He said He's gonna do, because you're constantly in communication with Him. You're constantly talking to Him. God knows the things that are being sent your way before you even know it. And so God has the answer for all of your problems. But it's a lot easier to connect with God when you're already connecting with God in situations. So when a situation arises, you don't have to be in panic mode. You can be in peace mode, because God, He has the answer for all your problems. You already been walking with Him. You already been talking with Him. That when those problems come, they won't rock your boat. You'll be at peace. I think it's interesting when I read the book of Matthews, and Jesus was just sleeping on the boat while the boat was getting rocked, and it was a harsh storm, and I think that, as in a level of maturity as a Christian, I think that that's a place that I want to get to, because I find myself, every time something bad is happening in my life, that I get in panic mode, and I'm always worrying, and then I start doubting, and I feel very fearful. And that is not the Spirit of God. That's not what God wants you to feel. He wants you to be at peace. He wants you to know that there is one who governs your life that is bigger than this natural world. Natural world, like the things that you experience in this world, um, is not compared to the things that you experience in the spirit, walking with God. And if God is in your life in the spirit, He's in your life in the natural to make your natural world at peace. Um, Meaning that nothing bad that is sent your way will happen if God is in your life and working in your life. It won't go out and do what it's sent out to do to you. Because God is the one who's keeping and protecting you. And I think that this truth is true in some people's life who may have experienced something in their life that was very traumatic, and they were able to come out of that situation, and still live to tell the story about it. And I think that those are situations where God has shown His power, that whatever was sent out to hurt or harm you or to take your life, that God didn't allow it to be that way. Also, even about trauma, I think that everyone in this world has experienced something or seen something that can be seen as a trauma to them. But I think that it's how you handle it. And for me, my trauma in my life was like when I was a teenager and I got kicked out of my parents' house. It was traumatic for me because I felt like the weight of the world was up on my shoulders. I was going to school and I was going to work. I had unbelievable expectations to meet, as being a pastor's son. And it just felt like the pressure was so much, to where I was trying to please my parents, do everything that they told me to do, while also going to school and going to work. It just seemed like I was just exhausted. My mind was exhausted. I was just exhausted from everything that I was trying to do, and just my relationship with God, just trying to, I felt like this another thing that exhausted me. It was just trying to find a way to follow all these rules, because my relationship wasn't relational. It was about rules. And I wanted to follow all these rules, and it seemed like everything was just too much for me. And so eventually I just got burnt out, and it was so stressful. But that trauma came from just getting kicked out, when my dad kicked me out. And after that, it just seemed like I just wasn't right after that. I always, after that, just felt like, I just never was at peace in my mind. Like I was always in survival mode. And, like God is saying that that's not how I'm supposed to live. And that's why it's so important to, when you forgive yourself and you forgive that person for what happened at that particular time, and you let it go, because you have to let it go, then you're able to live and not be bound, and you don't have to carry that thing with you, that trauma with you in your future, because it's disrupting your future. It's disrupting everything that's meant good for you in your future, because you're so tied to your traumas. And you can see that happening, and those traumas affecting your future when it comes to relationships or job opportunities or whatever. How those traumas can keep you from excelling in those things, because you always gonna feel like you're gonna always feel like someone's trying to hurt you, or so, it's just gonna seem like a flashback to something that's happened before, and that's the reason why you have to let it go, because that's it. The situation you're in right now is not the same situation that you were in, and so you gotta let that thing go and allow the situation that you're in currently to be what it is. And so, um, it's just like I said, this is day one, and it's a learning thing for me. And knowledge is power, and just knowing um, the difference between what is God and what isn't God can be the answer to what you will need to progress and what is causing you to stay in the same place or regress. And it's just all about hearing God's voice. If you don't understand His voice or understand how to hear Him, um, it is good to, get around, like, pastors and ministers you know, who have been living this thing and know something about this, and to educate yourself, with those people, and just, reading your word and praying, getting to know God on a deeper level, to understand His voice, and when He's speaking to you, and you will have your answers for today, so that you'll know how to handle what will happen tomorrow. And so, um, that's just all that I have for you guys today. And I really hope that it helped you guys, and that you enjoyed this video. I will try to keep you guys a part of this process every day as much as I can. And I just hope that you guys have a blessed day, and just really, spend time with God and talk with Him, not neglecting that time that you need with God, because a lot of times it is vitally important that you feed your soul right now, and not say to yourself, I will after this situation, or after I do this, because you will totally forget, and you'll be in a much deeper hole than you've felt in just this in the moment before that. And so, prioritize your spiritual life, because your spiritual life affects your natural life. And you will see the results of that. And that's what this is all about, which is the process, which is the spiritual growth. And I just, like I said, I hope you guys have a blessed day. And yeah, see ya. Like and subscribe to my video, and yeah, hopefully we can just grow together in the Lord.